This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
Empty shelves and empty aisles. That's the reality for shoppers at Fields Foods, as yet another location of the local grocery store chain announced today it is temporarily closing. Thank you for being with us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. The company has laid off employees and closed other stores within the past month. 5 on your side's Justina Coronel stopped by 2 different Fields Foods locations today and joined us in studio with a look at the fallout. Justina.
Yeah, so today the location in Dogtown temporarily paused operations. And I also went to the store in downtown St. Louis. It was open, but many of the shelves were bare. This is just one of 2 stores currently in operation.
It's a sign stalling shoppers. It reads, the Fields Foods Dogtown grocery store will temporarily pause on Monday, August 14th. Our store will reopen in a few short weeks after transition to new ownership and re-merchandising.
I was just going to see if they had any other rotisserie chicken.
Tony Fischetti left empty-handed Monday morning. He said empty shelves at the store should have been a sign.
And I knew something was up.
Chelsea Hellige also became aware of the bareness.
For months, they've had empty shelves.
5 on your side, Mark Maxwell also noticed the scarcity at the Lafayette Square location. And here are some photos I took at the downtown location. These are 2 of the 5 locations still open.
It's supposed to be a grocery store in a food desert, but the grocery store is a food desert.
Just last week, owner Chris Goodson spoke to our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal. He acknowledged employees had been laid off and stores had closed amid lawsuits over back rent and taxes. Goodson said he's trying to sell Field Foods to an employee ownership group.
It's so important. Anywhere people live, you need access to food.
From the beginning, Hellige strived for the store's success.
It was several years ago. This was just like an empty parking lot, and I joined the Dogtown Neighborhood Association so we could vote on the zoning variants that the developers needed to build this building. And so we voted for it, and a big reason was because we wanted a grocery store here.
And Fischetti was a fan.
When they said they were going to have a Fields grocery store, I was very excited.
While the statement on the door only says so much, Hellige believes it could be a sign of good times to come.
I'm glad that it's not just closing, that they're actually trying to take over and do something and move it forward.
Now, the Dogtown location just opened up May of last year. Residents say it was convenient to have it so close. The next grocery store is a 6-minute drive away, but a 28-minute walk.
A new report shows a steady rise in overall homelessness across the city of St. Louis. The startling statistics come to light just as a group of homeless shelter providers are competing with the city for control of federal funds. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, takes a closer look at the city's struggle to put roofs over people's heads.
I'm a professor at St. Louis University, and I study homelessness and the community's response to it.
We asked Tim Huffman to grade the city's report card on homelessness.
I think that all of our systems could be doing better.
New survey data shows increases in homeless families, chronic homeless, and chronic homeless who can't find shelter, perhaps the most clear evidence of a sharp rise in extreme poverty. Plus, spikes in unsheltered homelessness, sheltered homelessness, and the overall number of homeless veterans. But why is it happening now?
There are forms of rental assistance that were available that are no longer the case.
Signs posted outside the St. Patrick Center show the money ran out. And while the city is expanding shelter beds overall, some of those gains were wiped out during the pandemic.
We had more ARPA support in the beginning of the pandemic, but some of those shelters have come to a close. And some of our shelters have recently moved to transitional housing.
Now, a newly formed group, House Everyone STL, wants to control the city's share of federal HUD funds instead of the city's Department of Human Services.
The city will always play a role, and an important role, in the ending of homelessness in St. Louis. The trick is to get them at the right seat at the table.
Huffman sits on the House Everyone board, which recently realigned to remove any conflicts of interest from providers who would spend HUD funds, steering them to the places where they work.
Ethical practices are ongoing, of course, yes.
Providers used to applying for government contracts say they struggle navigating layers of red tape at City Hall.
And that we currently don't have the right systems to get those funds from their funder to the place that they need to be fast enough.
Reporting in St. Louis, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
A statement from the mayor's office says St. Louis spent tens of millions of dollars in American Rescue Plan Act funds to keep thousands of families in their homes, and that the city remains committed to getting our unhoused neighbors on a path to permanent housing.
A former St. Louis jail will soon be transformed. The mayor's office says the city's workhouse, as some called it, kept inmates in inhumane conditions. Tonight, though, a committee is using the community's voice to help narrow down what's next. Our Christine Byers breaks down the results of the community survey and what's ahead for the facility.
Could this 23-acre sprawling site become a go-kart track, an animal control center, a renewable energy site?
I'm excited because this is the beginning of the end of the process.
Inez Bordeaux is a member of the steering committee that is moving those suggestions to the next round of a community survey. It's about what to do with the former city jail known as the Workhouse.
We were hoping for about 800 responses, and we got very close to that, around 790.
We also know what it will not become: a 911 dispatch center, a homeless shelter, or a place for social services. Bordeaux says the building has asbestos, mold, roaches, and rodents.
So we're having to take all of those things into consideration, which is why those things were ruled out.
Community gardens also didn't make the cut.
We were enthusiastic about those responses, but we also had to keep in mind the environmental concerns that we have around the site. For example, we don't know what's going on with the soil.
The steering committee is now planning the next phase of surveys and community meetings, and ultimately wants to give its suggestions to Mayor Tishaura Jones.
The workhouse is empty, and it's been empty for quite a while, but empty is not closed. And so the sooner we get through this process, the sooner the community gives us this input, we can get to this next stage, which is finally and forever closing the workhouse and closing a chapter on just a racist and harmful history.
Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
To learn more about how to take the next survey, as well as other suggestions that made the cut, you can read Christine's story on KSDK.com.
For decades, drivers on Interstate 70 in Missouri have complained of traffic and congestion. Now there's a plan to fix that by adding an extra lane across much of the state from west of Wentzville to Blue Springs. 5 on your side's Diamond Palmer talked to businesses today about the proposed I-70 expansion.
Missouri is the birthplace of Interstate 70, dating back to August 13, 1956. Today, Governor Mike Parson signed a ceremonial bill that would expand this interstate 3 lanes on both sides to much of the state. Among those affected are business owners, where work is set to begin in Forestell.
McCoy Construction and Forestry is right next to Interstate 70. The business says the congestion is the worst on Friday afternoons, anytime after lunch and heading westbound. The business adds because of this, it's causing their customers to have delays for parts.
A lot of our customers need their parts on time, or they need their machines on time. Time is money for them. When they have a machine down, even if it's an hour, that can really start to add up. So when we see the delivery trucks on the highway, and they're just waiting to get here, we're just waiting to get our customer parts.
The expansion is set to cost $2.8 billion. Reporting in Forestell, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
If you want to learn more about the expansion project, MoDOT will be holding a series of informational meetings later this month that are open to the public. The first in our area will be Monday, August 28th at 4 p.m. at the Wentzville Board of Aldermen meeting room.